Quick question. Do you believe in miracles? When you get to the stop right when the bus does, is that a miracle? According to the Pope, absolutely not, idiot. He said that. See, in the Catholic Church, crying miracle on what could have been luck, hard work, nature, or science is a really bad look. So over the years, they've developed a severely bureaucratic and surprisingly scientific process to investigate miracles before giving God any credit. And where goes a severely bureaucratic process, so goes half as interesting. So let's get into it. To the untrained eye, there are miracles everywhere. A beautiful summer's day, a friend made as an adult, a YouTube comment that's nice to me. But Catholically speaking, none of those things count. Per Catholic Answers magazine, a website with fewer answers than I hoped, a miracle is specific. It's outside of natural, human, and scientific capabilities, we can clock it with our five senses, and it has no adverse, evil, or useless side effects. This definition excludes a lot. Though Catholicism credits God with creating nature, it doesn't count that creation as a miracle, nor anything it does. Sorry to sunsets, mountains, and life itself. Even parts of the regular schmegular supernatural course of things like transubstantiation or the absolution of sinners as souls don't pass muster. But why be so strict? In short, because in Catholicism, miracles are meant to be cold, hard evidence. First, to non-believers that maybe this whole God thing is legit, which is why the church can't be caught declaring a miracle and then having someone prove it was a feat of medicine, a trick of the eye, or watered-down mayonnaise. Second, in Catholicism, miracles prove that a certain dead person is, in fact, a saint, so a falsely labeled miracle could result in a falsely labeled saint. Side fact, they are still minting new saints, and miracles are a big part of the process. To become a saint, you need 2 church-certified miracles to happen to people who prayed to you after your death. In the case of teen saint Carlo Acutis, canonized in 2024 and now known as the patron saint of the internet, apologies to Nyongcat, the miracles in question were the inexplicable healing of a kid's rare pancreatic condition after he touched one of Acutis' old shirts, and the against all odds recovery of a woman who'd been in a bike accident after her mom prayed at Acutis' tomb. Side fact, if you are a martyr, i.e. you willingly died for your faith, you only need 1 miracle for the church to bump you up to sainthood instead of 2. Life hack! These days, the church only really investigates 2 types of miracles. The first are eucharistic, i.e. anything having to do with the wafers and wine they're serving up on Sundays, generally either wafers allegedly multiplying or physically transforming into human flesh. Investigations tend to start with locking the supposedly miraculous wafers up so no one can tamper with them, and dropping one in holy water to see if it dissolves in less than 2 days. Apparently a sure sign of non-miraculous wafers. The next stages are a bit more scientifically rigorous. We start with a panel investigating whether the wafers were in someone's possession before, during, and after the alleged miracle by looking at video footage in the church and interviewing everyone around to determine whether anything could have been swapped. Next, a bishop or archbishop will review all this evidence and say whether he thinks this might be legit. If so, another panel gets convened, this one including independent scientists, to run a bunch of tests. So if the claim is that the wafers turned into literal human flesh, they'll pull in a team that might include an electron screening specialist, a computer imaging analyst, a histologist, a pathologist, a DNA expert, and/or a microbiologist to run their own tests. Sometimes this is where the miracle falls apart, like in one case where the lab test revealed that the host had just been left out too long and was fermenting. But on rare occasions, the tests do come back flesh, and the church declares a miracle. But most of the miracles the church investigates are medical. In fact, this is really the only type that props up new saints these days. That's why their investigations fall to the Vatican's dicastery for the causes of saints, the body responsible for the saint-making process. When someone gets picked for sainthood, the church opens up an inquiry into their life, their death, and any miracles that may or may not have happened because they stepped in from heaven. That inquiry is called a cause, and it can last forever. And I mean literally. The DCS, which nobody calls that but I will for speed, keeps a file of everyone who's ever been put up for beatification, the step before sainthood, and they never remove names because, in theory, that person could still pull a miracle at any time. The DCS employs about 24 staff and works with about 100 clerical members and counselors, along with a global network of medical experts. When someone reports a medical miracle, whoever's managing the cause for the possibly responsible possible saint organizes a team to look into it. We're going to focus on 2 parts of that team, the medical board and the devil's advocate. Here's a scenario. Kurt gets hurt and ends up in a coma. Doctors say he's unlikely to survive the night. But in the morning, he wakes up with his injuries rapidly healing. Within weeks, he's fully recovered and suffers no lasting complications. His family claims they prayed to this guy, Craig, for a miracle before Kurt woke up. The medical panel, composed of not Catholic doctors and other experts, tries to explain Kurt's comeback. They look over his medical history, his treatment, and the timeline of his injuries and recovery, along with any relevant research or similar cases. Does he have some condition that makes him heal weirdly fast? Did an experimental treatment work exactly as intended? Were his injuries not as life-threatening as they seemed? The medical board concludes their investigation by voting on whether there is a plausible scientific explanation for Kurt's recovery, and if a 2/3 majority votes no, the church will be satisfied that something miraculous occurred. To be clear, this doesn't mean that the experts that voted no think God saved Kurt, just that they don't have a scientific explanation for how he healed the way and speed he did. The devil's advocate, sometimes called by some lamer title, is a member of the church assigned to poke holes in the miracle and see if it holds up. He'll talk to Kurt's doctors and surgeons to see if they have theories as to why he healed so fast. He'll talk to friends and family who prayed for him to confirm what time they started, whether Kurt was already healing by then, and whether they prayed to Craig specifically or just to God in general. If there's a relic involved, like Carlo Acutis' t-shirt, the devil's advocate will figure out when the relic arrived on the scene and how it fits into the medical timeline. Once the devil's advocate is satisfied that this was a miracle attributable to Craig, the matter goes to a panel of theologians who decide if this is the kind of thing God would do through Craig's intervention. At that point, they've declared a miracle, though there are still a few more layers before the Pope decides whether to go through with canonizing Craig. All this to say, even though miracles are, by definition, superhuman events, the Church's process for confirming them is extremely human. Panels and doctors, investigations and questions, and yeah, a lot of cold, hard cash. A successful beatification cause can cost over $500,000, with a not insignificant amount of the money going to all the outside experts you have to hire to vet your miracles. And obviously it's not a perfect process. If you don't believe in miracles, the events the church calls miracles are just investigations that failed to find the true cause of whatever happened. And if you do believe in miracles, you recognize that a flesh and blood process can't possibly catch and correctly identify every example of God saving someone. That's why Catholic doctrine says that there are probably tons of saints in heaven that people haven't identified, and the point of the whole canonization rigmarole is just to make sure that the church is only directing people to pray to the people they're most positive are kicking it with God in Cloudland. And look, whether you believe in God, saints, miracles, low-fat mayonnaise, or none of the above, you gotta give it up for some nice due diligence. In my world, that's a miracle. Oh, you know what else is a miracle? Having a week's worth of dinner show up in your doorstep in exchange for almost zero of your effort. Just kidding, that's no miracle. That's this video's sponsor, Factor. Every week, Factor gives you 35 options of delicious meals like this chicken piccata or this tamale bowl. You pick what you want, they send it, you put it in the fridge, and when you're ready to eat, they heat up in just 2 minutes. Because look, who among us has time to cook balanced, healthy meals at home as often as we want to? No, we've got places to be, lives to live, internet rabbit holes to fall down, then realize it's 9 p.m. and we really gotta eat a vegetable today. I've used Factor for years, partially because I'm also a big fan of their parent company, HelloFresh. I know I can count on them for delicious, convenient meals at home, and so can you. If you head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code HAI50, you'll get half off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. And you'll be supporting this channel when you do, so hop to it.